Today is Friday, March 21st, and today I learned about 3 different things that you can do to just make social interactions easier. And by easier I mean like more comfortable and better flowing and just better, I guess, overall. 2 of them have to do with other people, kind of, and 1 of them has to do with you. But they're all like active things that you can do. I don't know if that makes sense. First one is just listening to other people. I think that listening is just really helpful, especially if you are more of an introvert like I am. Just when someone is talking about something and they just like keep on talking and you are actively listening, you're like verbally listening and going like, yes, like providing those kind of contributions. I think that is really good because it really validates the other person, encourages them to keep talking, I guess, which can be good a lot of times, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. So yeah, just listening is a very good attribute to have, and not just within like chill conversations, also just as a general characteristic, like with your friends, you want to be someone that you know they can go to and you'll just listen and you won't have to, contribute, and you could just listen, right? So I just think that listening is a very important part of communication, rather than just like yapping, right? Although I do think that sometimes you can take listening too far and then just not contribute at all. So I do think you have to find that balance between listening and speaking and adding your own contributions. And I think that's the part that I struggle with. I feel like I'm good at listening, but I am bad at just like contributing and trying to keep the conversation flowing. But I think that's a universal thing that we all need to get better at, right? So that's the first thing, listening to other people, just so that first of all, just in general conversations, they're talking, like people love to talk about what they want to talk about. And just kind of a side note, finding that thing that the other person just will talk about for ages, just finding that thing that they are secretly obsessed with, that kind of thing, so you can continue to listen and that kind of thing. And obviously, like I said, like you don't want to just listen, like you obviously want to contribute. That's what like builds that relationship, right? You don't want it to be a one-sided relationship, or connection, whatever word you want to use there. But that's the first thing, which is listening. The second thing is thinking the best of others. This is something that I was kind of bad at today, because it's very, very easy to look at the negatives of others and assume people's motives. Ow, that hurt. I think my nose is burnt a little bit. Anyways, it can be very easy to assume the motives of others and assume the worst motives of others and just assume bad things. But if you really just think the best of others, and think the best of their motives and what they're trying to do, it really just relieves a lot of like an unnecessary burden upon yourself. Like you may think that this person is like horrible to work with or horrible to interact with, but really if you just think about thinking the best of their motives or their actions or whatever, then it really like takes that burden off of yourself, right? And also it's just better, like you'll interact with the person more kindly and just better in general, because if you have a negative lens of someone, then you're going to interact with them negatively. But if you have a positive lens of someone, then you're going to interact with them positively, right? Or even if you have a negative lens on someone, then maybe you're interacting with them positively, but you have a negative motive behind that, and we don't want that, right? We want good intentions, right? So I think just thinking the best of others is something that I really need to get better at, but I think it's really useful. Or not useful, I don't know if useful is a word, but it's really, it's a good thing that you should be doing. Like it talks about it in the Bible. Thinking the best of others, considering the best of others. I'll put it on the screen. There's a verse like that. So yeah, think the best of others, because it's not only beneficial for you, but it's also obviously beneficial for them, because like imagine if you were trying to do something and someone thought the worst of you and you were like, no, that's not what I was trying to do, I actually had good intentions for this. Imagine like that just doesn't make you feel good, right? So even if you're not verbalizing it or expressing it to the other person, generally just think the best of others. Thinking the best of others will not lead to, it's not wrong. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Thinking the best of others is good, and thinking the worst of others is wrong. And it talks about it in the Bible, and it makes sense, right? And then the third thing that I learned today that just makes social connections and interactions flow easier and just like better overall is more about you, because the other ones are kind of like you're listening to the other person, you're thinking of the other person, but this last one is kind of about you, and that is to do things where you like who you are during those things. I kind of want to explain that because that sounds kind of like ooh, but I think that just in general we act differently around different situations, right? So like I'm gonna act different around my family than my friends, and I'm not in like a malicious way, not in like a bad intentions way, like putting on a mask or something like that, right? But just like we're more comfortable with certain people, and we have different different goals and different things for different people in different situations, so we're going to interact differently, right? But I think finding the situation or finding the environment where you like who you are in that environment, and not in like a, oh, I'm being so cool, like I'm putting on this fake persona and I'm like I like who I am because it's like cool. I'm not talking about that. I'm just like I'm thinking like find that thing that you can do, or that community you can find, that environment you can be in, where you are truly yourself and you're truly genuine in a way that you think is good, or in a way that you like. And that sounds kind of weird, and I don't like I'm trying to make it clear, like I'm not saying that you should be this type of person here and this type of person here. I'm not saying you should like make blocks like that or try to be fake. Like I'm saying the opposite, like find that thing where you can be most genuine and most yourself. And I find that like one of those things for me is like making these videos. I feel like I am very myself and very genuine when I'm filming these videos, and that's part of the reason why I keep doing it, because I just feel like it's a thing that I do and I like who I am when I'm doing it most of the time, because I feel very myself in this environment. Another example is like my softball like practices have started and stuff recently, and I have just been thinking like I like who I am right now, like the way I'm interacting with others and the way that I am like making jokes, or like I've just been very happy. Like I like who I am in those situations, not like I'm being fake, like I said, but I'm genuine, right? And I'm having certain characteristics that I might not always have, but I like that, like I am having those characteristics in that situation, so therefore I like who I am in that situation. I don't know if that makes sense. It makes sense to me, so hopefully it makes sense to someone else. But like an example like of the opposite, like when you don't like who you are. Sometimes like after, I don't know if this is just me, but sometimes like when I hang out with friends or whatever, I'll think back and I'll be like, why was I like that? Like, why did I say those certain things? Why did I do those certain things? And I didn't like who I was in that interaction, because I didn't like the words I said, the actions. Like, I didn't like the person that I was in that situation, because I either did something wrong or I, did whatever, right? And again, I'm trying to hammer in, like, I'm not saying you should, like, have different personalities or whatever, be fake or whatever. I'm saying, like, put yourself in those situations where you are the best version of yourself. That is what I'm trying to say. Put yourself in those situations where you are the best version of yourself, or you're like improving to be, or to try to strive to be the best version of yourself. And then in those situations where you don't like who you are, you think it's maybe the worst version of yourself, or it's leading towards that, I would say don't avoid those, because those are situations where you can grow. So if anything, like try to be in those situations as well, to try to grow and become like shifted over, and to try to become a better person in those situations, right? I don't really know what I'm saying, and I don't know if I'm making sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that there will be certain situations where you just feel good and you just feel like you are the best version of yourself, or you like who you are in that situation. And I think it's good to put yourself in those situations. That's what I'm trying to say. And I don't think it's bad to not put yourself in those situations. And I don't think it's bad to be in situations where you don't feel like yourself or things like that. I'm just observing that I think it is generally good to keep striving to put yourself in situations where you are striving to be the best version of yourself. And ideally, that's every situation. Ideally, every situation you're striving to be a good version of you. Right? Like ideally, every situation we're trying to strive to be the best version of ourselves, but obviously we fail sometimes and we don't achieve that sometimes. And that's okay because we're human. But, oh my goodness, these hiccups are crazy. Oh my goodness. Those are the 3 things that I learned today that just, oh my goodness, help with social situations and just make them better. So, oh my goodness, bro, these hiccups are crazy. Listen, think the best of others, and strive to be the best, most genuine version of yourself. And if there are certain environments where that is a reality, where you are the best version of yourself, or you are very genuine or whatever, and you just like who you are in those environments, just by nature, whatever, strive to be in those situations. So that is what I learned today. I'm hiccuping, so I need to stop this video. Hopefully this video was helpful to someone. If you found it helpful, then I would love a like and a comment. This is the video that I posted yesterday where I was talking about procrastination and like avoiding thinking about the thing you're procrastinating, which I feel like is something I do a lot. So hopefully that's helpful to someone else. You can subscribe in that corner. And if you subscribe, I will see you in tomorrow's video, posting daily.